What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sports Forum Radio Show here on Mile High Sports 98.1 FM. I'm your host, Riggs Tamburo. We are getting straight into business today. UFC Middleweight Cody Brundage has been nice enough to give us some of his time while he's at the airport before this fight, man. Thanks for coming on today. How's that Tuesday going?
It's good, man. Long day of travel, but happy to be here for sure. It definitely breaks up my day.
Yeah, hey, happy to have you here. Let's jump in, man. Obviously, you are a middleweight fighter coming in 8-4, 29 years old, 6 foot 185 with a 72-inch reach. And you decided to take a short notice fight against Sedriques Dumas, coming in 7-1, 27 years old, 6'2, 184, 79-inch reach. Obviously, he's a little bit of a taller fighter, a little bit of a longer fighter. Why did you opt to take this fight on short notice coming off your last fight?
I feel like the gym I train at Factory X. It's short notice on paper, but I'm always in camp. I'm always in training. Right after that Hidalgo fight, I was right back in the gym. Literally, I flew back Sunday, was back in the gym on Monday. So I'm always trying to stay ready for an opportunity. I've been telling my coach, like, hey, if something comes up, if some of these people fall out, let's jump on something. And I like the matchup. I think the matchup is favorable to me. And like I said, I'm always ready, so I don't feel like it's short notice in terms of my preparedness. I just feel like maybe the game plan is short notice, but
yeah,
my game plan is I know my game plan. I know how my game is organized, and there might be minor adjustments I have to make depending on who I'm fighting, but for the most part, my game's going to be the same. So I felt good about it.
And you mentioned that you fight out of Factory X here in Colorado. Shout out to them. And with you training at Mile High, obviously you're always at that altitude. I know you mentioned that maybe that plays a factor going into this fight. Do you feel like even though you're on short notice and you're flying to Jacksonville for this one, do you think that you're going to have the cardio advantage here?
I think I'll have I think I'll have the advantage, or it'll just be the same. Like, I don't see this guy out cardioing me. I don't think he doesn't push pace. Like, that's not necessarily how he fights. He's very much like, I'm going to blitz and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to blitz, I'm going to stop. Very stop and go. He doesn't keep a constant pressure. So I don't feel like he's a fighter. He's not like an Anthony Hernandez who's going to push crazy pace, gas you out. He's not that style of fighter. So that was also a part of the decision making. Like, I'm confident in my cardio, especially going down to sea level. But it wasn't like I was fighting a guy who's a cardio machine who's going to come out and try to push a hard pace. If he does that, I hope he does, because I don't think he can sustain it. So that'd be favorable to me.
Yeah, we saw in his last fight, I'll talk about that one in a little bit, but in his last fight, he kind of drained out there in the second round pretty quickly after doing some of that blitz stuff that you're talking about. I do want to look at his aggressive style, though. Obviously, he's got that knockout power. And like you mentioned, he can be dangerous in moments, but he doesn't seem to be a guy that's dangerous at all times. You look at, though, in the standing point of view, significant strikes and strike accuracy, you do beat him in both of those categories. And I know that's kind of his bread and butter for what he wants to do. Do you feel that if this fight stays on the feet and it's more of a boxing match, do you think that you have the advantage there? And are you prepared to just stand there and bang with them?
Yeah, I feel confident on my feet. Like, I've grown a lot there. I've got a lot better there. People always try to discount it. Like, if you have a wrestling background, people automatically assume you can't stand on the feet. But, like, no one's ever knocked out Tresean Gore. I knocked him out. No one's ever dropped Hidalgo Vieira. I dropped Hidalgo Vieira and hurt him bad in the first 30 seconds of the fight. So I like when people sleep on my striking. If they're like, oh, he's just going to come wrestle and then we get into a scrap, I don't doubt my striking. I'm never going to abandon my wrestling, because it would be stupid to do that. But I have no problem being on the feet either. I feel good there. I feel like I have good timing, definitely have good power. So yeah, I won't mind this fight being anywhere. I don't, like I said, I feel like I'm adequate everywhere to win this fight. I have definite advantages in certain areas, but I'll be good wherever it takes place.
Not that I want to get any spoilers from you, but do you have a preference on if it's up or down, or are you kind of like, dude, wherever this fight takes me, I'm ready to go?
Just kind of wherever it goes, man. I don't have a preference. I feel like he'll give me opportunities to find certain things, just with his style and the way he comes forward. And I'm aware of, like, the things I need to be aware of. He's got good kicks. He's got pretty snappy high kicks. They get up there pretty well, and he does a good job of putting them at the end of his punches. So I just need to stay sound on my defense, and then find my opportunities. Make it a short, a dirty fight short range fight. And I feel like that negates a lot of the things he can do, those big kicks. And, I feel like that's really his really good strength is he has good range on those kicks for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you talk about those opportunities that you're going to be able to find when you look at the ground game. You average 2.6 takedowns a fight. This guy's got a 0% takedown defense. I mean, I know that that's not on huge sample size, but he seems to be vulnerable in that category. Is that something that you're going to be looking to exploit on him?
Yeah, I mean, I look to exploit that on everybody. I feel like it makes my striking easier. If I could take you down and every level change you're worried about, it just makes the striking game that much easier, makes feints that much easier, and just blending both of them together. But I'm not going to rush it. I don't feel like I need to rush it. I don't feel like I need to force myself to go take him down right away. I feel like I don't feel like he'll be surprised by my wrestling. I feel like he knows what the situation is there, but I do feel like he'll be surprised by my striking. I think he's really kind of writing me off. I've seen some of the things he's posted recently, like, oh, I know you're just coming to grapple. I know you just want to hug and just kind of, which to me is like, please don't wrestle me. Yeah. I'm asking you, so there's other people who've done that before. Trayshawn Gore said the same thing, that I was just going to wrestle him all night. And, you saw how that worked out for him. So I like it. Yep. You just underestimate what I'm doing and think that's all I'm going to do. And we'll see how that works out for you.
Yeah. I love that you keep bringing up Trayshawn Gore. That was a beautiful knockout, by the way. One of my favorites from you. I've seen pretty much all your fights, man, and I absolutely love that one. But I do got to ask you, look at the reach. I brought it up earlier, 69 inches for him, 62-inch reach for you, 7-inch reach advantage on you. How do you deal with that, whether it's standing or on the ground? Like, do you got to worry about how much longer he is?
I think there's certain instances maybe, but I don't watching film on him, like, he doesn't really fight like a long fighter. He doesn't really establish a jab. He doesn't do things that guys that have that huge reach advantage do. He like I said, he likes to blitz. He likes to kick. He likes to kick up the middle, long kicks up the middle. Like, I feel like he uses his legs better for his distance management, for his range, than he does his hands. So I get past the legs, then I feel like he's fine to sit in the pocket and trade. He like I said, he's not known for his jab. He's not even, really known for his hands. I feel like he gets most of his knockouts from his legs, and that's not to say that he doesn't have knockout power in his hands. If you're in the UFC and you fight at 185 pounds, you're going to be able to knock people out. Like, that's just that's a gift, right? Like, you can't be at this weight and not be able to knock people out. But he definitely has more success with his kicks, and he likes being at that range. So if you let him hang out and just kick you, then yeah, he might outpoint you. But in terms of, like, with his hands, he's a boxing range kind of guy. Like, he needs to be in boxing range to use his hands. And so I don't feel like I feel like on paper, yeah, it looks like a lot to overcome, but I don't feel like he fights super long. So I don't feel like it's a huge issue. I'm one of the shorter guys in the division. I feel like everyone I fought has had a reach advantage. And I train with guys like Rob Wilkinson, who has an 80-inch reach. Dustin Jacoby has a 78-inch reach. Josh Fremd has a 78-inch reach. So, I kind of get that look from those long guys constantly, and I'm always trying to have to problem solve and get through them, because there's a few builds in MMA. I'm built like a fire hydrant, and those guys are built like I've definitely had some experience dealing with that build.
Yeah, and I know every single fight is a different fight, right? So you can't watch his last fight and say, oh, that's what's going to happen again. But you just mentioned your good friend Josh Fremd, who we've had on here as well. Shout out to Josh. But he was able to finish him in the second round by submission in the last time out. We kind of saw him come out explosive in the first. He was probably looking for that knockout on Josh. He didn't get it. He got frustrated. Josh obviously was able to use that wrestling, kind of like I think you're obviously very able to do. Is there anything you learned in that fight, obviously, or that you can kind of transfer over with Josh being your teammate that you've been able to, once again, no spoilers, but maybe able to work on a little bit, like, oh, I definitely saw something there, and we've been able to try to train that because he's been in there with the guy?
Not really. Me and Josh are so different. We have very different styles. Like, I saw what everyone else saw, which is that he has the give up in him, right? Like, he'll quit. And I saw some interviews he did where he was like, I had a lot going on in my life, and it was a big moment for me, and it just was a lot. And I get that. I made my UFC debut on 48 hours notice, so I can understand the nerves and the anxiety you feel going into your first UFC fight, and so I'm sure that played a role. But we saw him quit. Like, that was not a tight choke. He'll say himself it wasn't a tight choke. I've heard him say it. And Josh just was able to break him with pressure and wrestling and mixing of the martial arts, and being there. You know, he didn't get put out, and like you said, he gets frustrated, and then it's like, okay, this is a whole different fight. So I saw that. I think everybody saw that. But in terms of like game planning, me and Josh are such different fighters. You know, he told me like what he felt in there. But you know, it's just I hate like sometimes I don't like fighting guys that my teammates have fought because I feel like it can lull you into a fake sense of confidence sometimes. So I try to avoid that trap a little bit, you know. But I feel good about it. I feel like my skills match up really well with Sedriques. So, you know, that's why we do it, though. We'll see, right?
Hey, take him into deep water and see how bad he wants it. I feel like that's kind of how you fight. You kind of fight with that. I'm here. I don't know. There's something about the way you fight. I love it. It's very confident. It's very, let's go into deep water and see who wants it more. And I feel like you always seem to be the guy that kind of wants it more than the other guy. So we'll see what happens there. But I do got to ask you, you know, maybe you mentioned maybe his nerves in the first fight, everything like that. He is from Florida. This fight obviously is in Florida. Obviously, maybe that means the crowd's going to be on his side. How do you feel about maybe getting booed on your way out? Does it make you feel better, or is that something you're not really used to?
I've wrestled my whole life, and you know, I've gone to opposing college gyms and been in that atmosphere a little bit. I'm the first fight of the night. I'm not thinking there's gonna be that many people there, to be honest. It's an 11:30 card. I'm gonna have a big contingent. I'm from South Carolina, so it's a pretty quick drive down, 4 hours. I'm gonna have a pretty big contingent there to see me. And but if I get booed, I get booed, man. I got a baby coming in a week. I took this fight because I'm trying to make as much money as I can before this baby gets here. So I don't really give a crap if people are booing me or not rooting for me. You know, fans are fickle. It's I start lighting them up on the feed or take them down and start smashing them. The fans change their tune real quick. So everybody wants to root for the winner. So whoever's winning is who they're going to be rooting for in the end.
Well, hey, man, congrats on the kiddo on the way. I really appreciate your time. Is there any shout-outs, anybody you want to shout out, the gym, the agency, whatever it might be, before this one?
Yeah, I want to shout out Iridium. They're my management team. They really threw this together. They always take care of me, make sure I'm getting good opportunities. Shout out to my team, obviously Factory X. It's like a family. I feel so supported all the time, and just I'm super spoiled. And then I want to shout out my wife for letting me take the fight. Like I said, I have a baby coming any day now. Hopefully when I get back. But you know, she's an ex-fighter. She kind of gets it. She kind of gave me her blessing to go, which is good. So I feel good though, man. It's gonna be exciting. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Guys, give Cody a follow on Twitter at Cody Brundage 185 and on Instagram at Cody_Brundage_. Man, best of luck to you. We're going to be rooting for you, and we'll definitely talk to you after the fight. We'll be right back.
Appreciate you.